Imagine being born a crown prince, trained from childhood to pilot fighter jets, only to be forced into exile at 17, stripped of your throne and homeland. This is the story of Reza Pahlavi, once the heir to Iran's monarchy, now a leader fighting for freedom and democracy for his people from afar. Reza Pahlavi was born on October 31st, 1960, in Tehran, Iran. He was the eldest son of Mohammad Reza Pahlavi, the last Shah, king of Iran, and Queen Farah Diba. From the very beginning, his life was that of a prince, privileged, protected, and prepared to inherit the throne. At just 7 years old, in 1967, he was officially named Crown Prince, marking him as the future king of Iran. His childhood was spent in the lavish surroundings of the Pahlavi royal household and the exclusive Pahlavi school in Tehran, a place reserved for the royal family and their closest associates. But Reza was not just being groomed to wear a crown. He was being trained to be a leader and a symbol of modern Iran. One of the defining passions of his youth was flying. At just 11 years old, he piloted his first flight, and by 12, he earned a pilot's license, an extraordinary achievement for someone so young, especially within a royal family. Flying wasn't just a hobby for Reza. It became a symbol of freedom and mastery. At 17, he was sent to the United States for advanced training, enrolling at Reese Air Force Base in Texas. There, he trained as a fighter pilot, learning to fly T-37 and T-38 jets, gaining skills that reflected his commitment not only to his royal duties, but to defending his country. This time in America was formative. It shaped Reza into a disciplined and skilled pilot with a global perspective. But in 1979, everything changed. The Islamic Revolution swept through Iran, overthrowing his father's regime and forcing the royal family into exile. Reza and his family fled first to Egypt and eventually settled in the United States. The young prince, once destined to rule a nation, now faced the uncertain life of a political exile. Despite the upheaval, Reza continued his education, studying political science through distance learning at the University of Southern California. Fluent in Persian, English, and French, he expanded his understanding of global politics and democracy. Exile transformed Reza Pahlavi's identity. No longer simply a royal heir, he became a symbol of resistance and hope for many Iranians who longed for freedom. His story is not just one of lost power, but of relentless dedication to his people's rights and future. Reza's journey from the palace to exile is a tale of resilience, passion, and a vision for a democratic Iran. It's a story that has only just begun. The fall of the Pahlavi dynasty in 1979 was a turning point, not just for Iran, but for Reza Pahlavi himself. Overnight, the crown prince found his future erased. The palace halls and the country he was meant to lead vanished behind the storm of revolution. Exile became his new reality. After fleeing Iran with his family, Reza settled in the United States, a nation both familiar and foreign. The transition from prince to exile was jarring. In America, he was no longer royalty, but a student, a political refugee trying to redefine his purpose. The comfortable life of privilege was replaced by uncertainty and the heavy burden of responsibility. Despite these challenges, Reza remained focused on his mission, to be a voice for the millions of Iranians suffering under the new Islamic Republic. He understood that his role had shifted from crown prince to opposition leader in exile, a position fraught with danger and complexity. In the early 1980s, Reza began speaking out against the Iranian regime. He condemned the repression, the lack of freedoms, and the human rights abuses that plagued the country. But it wasn't enough to criticize from afar. Reza aimed to unify the scattered opposition forces inside and outside Iran. He believed that only through a united front could the Iranian people hope to reclaim their country. To prepare himself for this enormous task, Reza pursued higher education in political science, gaining insights into democracy, governance, and international relations. His studies deepened his understanding of the geopolitical landscape and the tools necessary to promote political change. Reza also became a symbol of hope for many Iranians worldwide. For those who opposed the Islamic Republic's strict religious rule, He was a living reminder of a different Iran, one that embraced modernization, secular governance, and human rights. But this symbol also made him a target of criticism. Some viewed him as a relic of the past, tied to a monarchy that many blamed for Iran's problems. Others questioned his ability to lead a democratic movement. Nevertheless, Reza remained undeterred. Over the decades, he worked tirelessly to build coalitions among Iranian diaspora groups, international human rights organizations, and governments sympathetic to Iran's democratic aspirations. He advocated for sanctions against the regime's oppressive leaders, calling for the release of political prisoners and freedom for the Iranian people. Despite the physical distance from his homeland, Reza kept close ties with those inside, Iran risking their lives for change. His role as a voice for democracy became even more critical as the regime cracked down harder on dissent. His story is not just about political exile, but about resilience and commitment. Forced from his throne, but refusing to give up, Reza Pahlavi's life in exile embodies the struggle of many Iranians who dream of freedom. He transformed his personal loss into a lifelong fight for justice, democracy, and human rights. Through setbacks and criticism, Reza's dedication remains unwavering. The fight for Iran's future continues, carried by a leader who refuses to forget his people or his country, even from thousands of miles away. Though miles away from the land of his birth, Reza Pahlavi's spirit remains intertwined with Iran's fate. His exile is not a retreat, but a relentless pursuit of hope, a beacon for those yearning for freedom and a reminder that the fight for a better Iran is far from over. In the shadows of loss, he stands ready, determined to one day see his homeland free, democratic, and united once more. From the gilded halls of exile to the heart of international diplomacy, Reza Pahlavi has transformed himself from a royal heir into a seasoned strategist with a bold vision for Iran's future. But what exactly drives this exiled prince? And how does he intend to turn decades of political struggle into a new era of democracy? Reza's vision goes far beyond nostalgia for a lost monarchy. Instead, he advocates a secular, democratic Iran where freedom of speech, religion, and assembly are fundamental rights. Unlike his father's regime, which blended rapid modernization with political repression, Reza champions a future where civil liberties and economic opportunity coexist. This is the foundation of his political message, one that resonates with many Iranians tired of authoritarian rule and social restrictions. Central to his strategy is the Iran Prosperity Project, unveiled in Washington, D.C. in 2025. This comprehensive economic and political plan outlines a roadmap for stabilizing Iran after the collapse of the current regime. It begins with a 100-day transition period aimed at restoring basic governance, security, and economic order, followed by long-term democratic reconstruction. This plan not only targets internal reform, but also seeks to rally international support, particularly from Western nations, to aid in Iran's recovery. Reza's ability to speak multiple languages fluently, Persian, English, and French, has enabled him to become an effective communicator on the global stage. His appearances at international forums like the Munich Security Conference and the Oxford Union showcase his ability to frame Iran's struggle in universal terms of human rights and democratic values, winning him allies far beyond the Iranian diaspora. His diplomatic efforts have also brought him closer to key global leaders. For instance, Reza has forged ties with Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, presenting himself as a pro-Western alternative to the clerical regime. Though controversial and criticized by some for aligning with hawkish factions, this relationship positions him as a significant player in the geopolitical chess game surrounding Iran. At home, his call for defections within Iran's military and security apparatus signals a new approach to dismantling the regime from within. By encouraging insiders to join the democratic movement, Reza is betting that fractures within the regime can accelerate its downfall. This tactic reflects a shift from royal figurehead to revolutionary strategist, a leader ready to navigate the dangerous waters of regime change. Despite skepticism from some analysts who question his grassroots support inside Iran, Reza's persistent activism, backed by his considerable wealth and global network, keeps him firmly in the conversation about Iran's future. His Maryland estate is more than a home. It is a command center for a political campaign that blends old royal legacy with modern insurgency. Ultimately, Reza Pahlavi's story is not just about reclaiming a throne. It is about redefining leadership in a country yearning for change. As Iran stands at a crossroads between repression and revolution, the exiled prince remains a powerful symbol of hope, resilience, and the possibility of a democratic dawn.